New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Rockin the Love. I am Robyn.
And I'm Gil, and we are happy to have you joining us today. It is another Wednesday. What are we in? March. Oh my gosh, the middle of March, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Well, we've survived both of our birthdays so far. It's very impressive. We just continue to keep growing and hopefully learning. And that's why we do the show with you, because we want to have a chance to just talk about some of the things that are important around relationships and hopefully inspire some thinking, answer questions, a little at least, and have some fun.
Yay, fun. So if you're joining us for the first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are a married couple, which will become very obvious at some point during the show. Also, if you could like us, we will like you too. We'll like you back. And so today we're going to be talking about when overwhelm is at the helm.
Oh my gosh.
What does it look like and feel like and all of that in a relationship when overwhelm takes over one of the people? Because, whoever you're in relationship, that could be at work, that could be, your family, your partnership, whatever it is, just what does that look like and what can we do about it? And we will hopefully get some great tips, some ideas that we may or may not be using, but we will certainly try to put them into play. So, how are you?
I am okay, only slightly overwhelmed. Yeah, doing well. And I, had a great birthday, and it was great. We had family in town, and it was really fun. And the world seems to be, flying through the universe as it always has been, at a rate of speed that seems enormous. And I keep, finding different things that make me feel better about the world and feel better about what's going on. I saw something just today that I thought was very fascinating, and that was a quote that says that all tyrants eventually fall away. And I was like, oh, that's a good thing to just realize, that whatever we're in, whatever the situation is, whatever looks out of place or tyrannical, we can know is eventually going to fall away. Because if it's not supposed to be there, it won't last. And if it is supposed to be there, we'll figure out how to traverse it.
Interesting. I have a challenge with that, but okay.
Okay. What's your challenge?
I think when we start naming it like that, like tyrant and those kind of things, that it becomes the other and it separates it from the oneness.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather live into the, affirmation that spirit is bigger, God is bigger, whatever you however you frame that one,
Mm-hmm.
than anything I could be seeing or experiencing, that there's more than that. But if I start to go, oh, that over there is a tyrant, that over there is wrong. I mean, not to say that I don't say that or that I don't feel that, there is definitely different values that people hold that I may not be in alignment with, or they may not be in alignment with mine, but I don't know.
Well, the quote is actually from Mahatma Gandhi, and it says, "For a time, tyrants can seem invincible, but in the end, they always fail." And I think the point of the quote is those who are attempting to overpower others,
Right.
those who are attempting to be out of sync in terms of what equality and equity is in the world, eventually will fail.
I got it.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that.
And I don't think it's a matter of judging people. For me, it's a matter of acknowledging what's my perception of the world. That's more it. This is how I perceive it. I don't know that that's really what's going on, but in my perception, that's what it feels like. So there you
go. Okay. Got it. I think I'm tired of perceiving it and judging it and having it, be, I don't know, having it be the main focus.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear you. All right. So that's that. So, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, your week was good. Your birthday was good. We went to a escape room, which I think that was fun. I think that practitioner corps and ministers should have to do that. Ministers should have to do it with their practitioners. Be in the escape room.
Well, actually, I think you should get a group of I think this should happen in many arenas. A group of management or CEOs or senior ministers, and put them all into a room and tell them now that they have to work together to figure this thing out. Because I think that would be fascinating for some of us.
Well, yeah, but I think some people do that. Some corporations. Right. I mean, I think it's a great learning.
Yeah. But it was fun. We had a fun time. We would have not made it out with the zombies. We made it into the second room, but that was it. On the buzzer, we got into the second room and realized we weren't out yet. So.
Yeah, so we'd be zombies.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It wasn't as scary as I thought they'd be. I think they were scarier when they started.
Maybe.
Because I think they really locked you in a room then and did all those things, and then probably the fire marshals came along and said you can't do that, and you know what I mean. I think it's changed. Because I remember people really being locked in the room until they were let out.
Right. Right, and feeling like they couldn't.
Yeah. Where at ours, the guy was like, "The door's open. If you need," and then he said, "If you need to make a phone call, you can." I was like, "Okay, all right." I cannot suspend my, disbelief if you're going to tell me I can go make a call.
Right.
So.
Right. I kind of got the bathroom portion of it, but that part was a little tough.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that was fun. Your birthday was fun. Family was fun. And here we are. And this is fun too. So I say, let's go to the good news.
Let's go to the good news.
This is our segment where we talk about what's going on that's good in the world so that, we don't get stuck in tyrants and this and that. It's like there's so many good things happening, and we just have to remember truly who we are and where we're coming from, and that there is truly a tribe of people that are coming from love right along with us. So This is where we share that good news.
Well, and I think in reality, everybody's coming from love in the best way they can. And that's the reality. Some of them are more in line with what we think is love, but So anyway, my good news today is this. How many of us have heard we can, go into nature and be renewed? refreshed and all of that. Well, that, along with Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, as you may remember, actually could do the trick. You don't have to go into nature necessarily. Just watching nature will reduce pain. So just allowing yourself to be immersed in it through a screen, or paying attention that way, can give you some of the same outcomes as being actually in the forest on a hike kind of thing. So what they found was with neuroimaging, they could see how people experience pain, and that the perception of pain in the body would be reduced when people were watching nature. Isn't that wild?
Yes, it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense though, doesn't it?
Well, I think it makes sense because I think the reality is that looking at nature allows us to relax somehow, allows us to let go, allows us to lean into something bigger than ourselves, and that changes it. So the pain relieving effect can be achieved through a virtual nature exposure, which is easy to administer and doesn't require any drugs. So that's kind of cool. So anyway, I thought that was a very fascinating study, and I think this is one of those things that you sort of know, but to actually have the scientific backing of it makes it all the more interesting.
Well, I think it kind of speaks to, even if you're, homesick or not feeling good and you want to flip through some old National Geographics or so. No, but seriously, like, just when we sit with a picture like that or an image that makes us go and breathe and really relax somehow, I'm sure that too is helpful, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Because you're looking like you have something else to say.
Don't. What about you? Did you have one?
Oh, unusual. Yes, of course I have one.
Oh, good.
Otherwise, this wouldn't be the good news segment. It would be your piece. Just your piece.
Oh, I like that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So mine is about a bus driver in Louisville, Kentucky, named Larry Farish, and he drives a school bus. And in the morning, he picks up kids for school, and he noticed that his one little regular student was really beside himself and distraught and not happy. And he talked to him. He said, what's going on? And he told him that it was pajama day at school and he didn't have any pajamas and he wasn't going to be able to participate. And and then he went and sat down and was just very withdrawn and inside himself. And so Larry thought, well, I got to make this right. So after he finished, he went to the dollar store and he got a couple pairs of pajamas and he went back to the school and brought them to the boy. And the boy was so excited. He was just beside himself that he could participate and be part of. And, and the school was so thankful. And it's just, to me, it just speaks to those little things that are so easy to do that we sometimes skip over.
Mm-hmm.
And not only for people we don't know because we don't know them, but for people we do know,
mm-hmm.
Where we can just,
it's that thing of something that we have a sense needs to be done, and do we do it? Do we follow it? Are we willing to take a little bit of extra time? There was another article today about a delivery driver taking groceries to somebody's house, and he dropped them off and rang the doorbell and nobody answered, and he dialed the phone number and nobody answered, and the TV was on and whatever else, and kind of looked in the window to see if anybody was coming and nobody was, and so he figured, well, they must have left for a few minutes. And then he had a feeling that really wasn't it. So he went back to the window and made a closer look inside and saw the lady laying face down on her floor.
Mm.
And she'd had some kind of diabetic response and was, out. And that's the kind of thing where you just take that little intuition and go, it'll take me a minute, but this is something I need to do. This is why this is coming. And I'm sure the bus driver had some kind of similar thing. Like, I could just go get him some pajamas, and then he did it. He went through with it. How cool is that?
Yeah, I mean, and the story you just said reminds me of, well, both of them actually, but remind me of listening to that still small voice that we talked about,
Mm-hmm.
that voice that says, you can do this, you can fix this. No, there's something else going on, And so, yeah, I think that's part of the key to what's going on in the world. It's like, it's going to take everybody stopping and not necessarily following their own agenda, but paying attention to what's going on for everybody.
Yeah, and being willing to take the risk, whatever that risk is. The risk of being wrong, the risk of being made fun of or not being appreciated, or whatever that thing is. No matter what the urging is, the thing for us to do is to step beyond what others might think and really go into, is this what I'm asked to do? And that's the important part.
Yes. And I would just add to that, and being in the moment, because sometimes we can talk ourselves out of things in the same 30 seconds we came up with it.
Right.
If the bus driver had gone, oh, if I do it for him, I'm gonna have to do it for everybody, and what's that gonna, what if the other kid's gonna think if I, or any kind of conversation, or the grocery deliverer, DoorDash, if he's off his schedule, what's going to happen? And
I got ice cream in the car.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the lesson is, listen to that still small voice and act accordingly. So that's what we're going to do, is act accordingly, but we're not going to do it until after this first break, where we'll come back and talk about overwhelm in relationships. When overwhelm is at the helm and driving your relationships. So don't go away. Come right back here to New Thought Media Network, and we'll join you here.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Welcome to Science of Mind Archives, your gateway to spiritual wisdom. Join us for our grand opening gala. Experience a weekend of inspiration. Enjoy a ribbon-cutting ceremony, a gala dinner and workshops, plus a labyrinth walk and town hall. Connect with a community of seekers. explore spiritual teachings and resources, find your path to personal growth. Join us from April 24th to 27th. Lodging options are still available. Visit our website www.scienceofmindarchives.com for more details. Please RSVP by March 15th. Featuring Reverend Jesse Jennings, musical inspirations with Karen Drucker and the spirit of Ernest Holmes. Come celebrate our new home at Unity Village, Lee's Summit, Missouri, and please visit www.scienceofmindarchives.com.
Hello, we're back. You're back on Rockin the Love. I'm Gil,
I'm Robyn.
and we're excited to be here with you today where we talk about relationship and just what it means to be in relationship with yourself, with your boss, with your employee, with your grandchild, with your whatever it is. We're constantly in relationships everywhere. And so talking about them, we believe, is helpful. So here we are. What are we talking about today?
When overwhelm is at the helm of your relationship, when it's driving your relationship, what do you do? What do you do when, there's so many times, I'll speak for myself, but when I'm in relationship with you or our kids or anybody, and if somebody's stressed out, it throws the balance a different direction, or it brings about a new situation, or same at work. I think if you have a stressful time, like what happens when you're just overwhelmed and at the end of your rope?
That's a really good question. And so I think, talking about this, you kind of have to talk about it from a couple angles. One is how or what do we do as a person who maybe is experiencing overwhelm?
Mhm.
And then how and what do we do as a person in relationship with someone who's experiencing overwhelm, right? I mean, of course, there is the idea sometimes of certain relationships create overwhelm, and sometimes people don't really realize how the way they are in a relationship creates overwhelm. So there's kind of all three of those things going on, depending on which one you're talking about. But any one of them requires us to think outside the box that we're in, right? Whatever that box is, whether we're the person having the overwhelm, the person trying to be with the overwhelm, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure, but yes, I imagine that's correct. But not only thinking outside of the box for me, it's just utilizing different skill sets that might not be the standard everyday norm. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, you have to think, I guess, outside of the box or something.
Well, sometimes when one is in overwhelm, it can be very difficult to notice, to acknowledge, to whatever, how it's affecting relationships that you're in. Because the feeling is there's too much to do. I can't do it all. I don't want to do it. Whatever it is, that's
So yeah, let's identify it for you. What are the feelings of overwhelm? What are the signs or the feelings that indicate your partner or yourself, I guess, are in overwhelm, or that someone's experiencing overwhelm in a relationship?
But for me, I think it comes when when I feel like I don't know how to successfully complete whatever is in front of me.
Mm.
You know, and because it's not, and it's not always what's exactly in front of me. It's the more I sense that there's more stuff in front of me, then the overwhelm happens, and then even the smaller parts that I could deal with easily become part of the process of I can't do all of this kind of thing somehow. And I think also the feeling for me, overwhelm is connected to a feeling of inadequacy. So,
Yeah, interesting, because I don't I don't want to generalize, but I'm gonna just say in our relationship, what I recognize is what I would normally attribute more to men. And I think that this is just I am, what's the word?
uh,
Okay, thanks. I am, it wasn't that. Oh,
uh,
I'm trying to, I mean, anyway, I don't want to stereotype, but I think this is common knowledge that, like, because you said it, you said that you feel inadequate, that you can't, you
right.
don't know how to do something. And I think that freaks boys out more than girls on some level, because you have whatever tape you have running about what you're supposed to know how to do.
Right.
So that is one thing, I mean, I have learned from being in relationship with you, is that when that happens, to make sure you know that you are adequate. It's okay that you don't know, how to put the Grand Marnier whipped cream on the French toast, or how to make it. You know what I mean? That you don't have to know everything. But I mean, I think it's different what throws people into overwhelm. I mean, the same basic, idea, but like that, because when I'm overwhelmed, it's not because I don't know how to do it. Generally, I mean, I don't, that feeling doesn't resonate for me at all. It's more about, there is so much to do, and how am I going to get through it?
Well, I think that's in some ways that's what I was saying as well. That I don't know how I'm going to do it refers to there's too much stuff. I don't know how I can get it all done. So I think sometimes, yes, it does refer to things that you feel like you should be able to do and it's not working, but it also is that there's too much and I don't know how to get through it all. I don't see the pattern to get through it.
Yeah, and I think the difference for me is that, I mean, even though we're saying similar things, I think your belief is more of an external belief of, like, how am I going to get, it's logical, how am I going to get it all done, kind of thing. And mine, I mean, like, in my world, it never occurs to me not to get it all done. like, because I'm a woman. I'm like, da, 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 I can do it, and I'll just put on my cape, and somehow we'll make this happen. You know what I mean? So I think there's two kind of sets of thinking, even though they may get us both to the same place.
Right.
You know,
That's kind of fun.
and both of them. I mean, both of them may be totally. I don't want to say wrong, but we still may not get the result we want.
It may be as far out of whack as the other.
Yeah, they may be, because it's like, on the one hand, so that makes my core issue probably not taking care of myself, or not, and your core issue.
Unable to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like not worthy, but you're not accomplished with enough or whatever.
I think that another thing in terms of overwhelm that I've experienced watching myself deal with much better, but that is um, sadness and disappointment. That can throw me into into overwhelm. And I really been grappling with reframing, being able to hit it head on and then to allow it to be done and move on and not get stuck in it,
Yeah, I do know, because is my next question. I mean, in leading us on this path and trajectory. So if you're feeling like that, if we're both feeling overwhelmed at the same time, we've got, two different kinds of uh, in ways, whatever. And so how does that impact our connection? What does that do to our relationship and the overwhelmed and the emotional and the spiritual connections between us, or between anybody, between partners, between your boss and you, whatever it is, and because it obviously throws it one way.
Yeah. Well, I think another thing is to be able to acknowledge the sadness or the frustration with something, some situation outside of our relationship. Be able to acknowledge it, then move forward. And that's
An
another
area
key
of
thing.
growth for you?
Maybe, but I think I have grown incredibly in that. And
Yeah, I think you have
demonstrated it.
to. I think you have to.
I think I've demonstrated that I can do that in a whole different way. I may still have a limit.
Well, I don't
somewhere.
even know if it's a limit as much as it is in the heat of the moment.
Mhm.
You can't go there. And I mean, I think that has a lot to do with traits of male, female, yin, yang, whatever. That your pattern is in the moment. That's not what you do. You don't go to a place of talking or breathing and then going, now I get it. Now I see clearly through the forest. Whereas, again, I tend to do that a little quicker because I'm like, I need to get to the end of it so I can keep moving. So yeah, I think that's an important thing is, the impact it has, especially when we're both overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, and the other thing, of course, that's different is that you would tend to come right to me or someone else and say, this is what's going on. Geez, all right, now what do I do? Now let me think about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Where I'm gonna go, I can't do this. I need to just have some time.
Yeah.
I need to process. And I've done that as well and just let it be and not even brought it up for a period of time until I felt like I could actually talk it through. Yeah. Which is ultimately good. Because it results in better results all the way around. Whether it's talking directly to somebody perhaps that I'm having an issue with, or whether it's talking to you about the issue or someone else about the issue. If I'm just in that place where I'm overwhelmed, hurt, angry, whatever, then it's not gonna help.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It's the same for me. I'm just quicker.
Well, yeah. You're just faster.
That's not a.
I know.
It's just, I just do it quicker because to me it's a no-brainer. It's like, okay, we're on the same team. So how do I get to? It's like getting out of the escape room. It's like the object is to get out of the escape room. So why am I going to linger and wait? I'm not. I'm going to go, okay, that was messed up and I don't want that to happen again. And how do we move forward? Let's go.
Right. And I'm not going to criticize you for totally misinterpreting that clue, and trying to take us down a rabbit hole or whatever kind of thing.
Right.
Because it's just like, oh, okay, well, let's try this. Let's do the next thing. What's on the list?
So in that interim of time, what is the technique or what is what do you do to ground yourself, to come back when you're saying, I need a minute? What is it that would be helpful for everyone to hear of how you take that space, or something? It could be something I've done that has helped you take that space, or allowed you to take that space, or that keeps you from taking that space. Any of it, we can flip it. But like, how do we give a tool?
It's very interesting because in some ways I have no freaking idea what I do. What I know is that I guess the biggest thing I do is allow for the possibility that it's all good, which sounds pretty mamby-pamby on the one hand, but to allow for the possibility that whatever's going on is going on for a reason, and I may not see it in this moment, but I need to just not get involved in deciding what it all means. Because once I decide what it means, then I'm going to tell the story about what it all means. And that is generally where the overwhelm is, because how I see it is overwhelming me. Right?
Mm.
So if I can let go of telling a story about the facts and putting them into a story that I believe is true, if I can step back, go, okay, I'm just going to receive this information and be with it, and then let me take the next step. Let me ask a question. Let me just share that this feels hurtful, but I'm willing to go back in, or whatever it is. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me that I don't know. I feel like my answer is always the same to so many things, but it's really about breathing. It's really about the breath for me. It's really about just taking a breath, taking a beat, and just recentering in my body. And then I'm able to assess, what's the truth here? Is that the truth? Is this going on? Is this happening? And again, I go to the place of knowing, with my partner, or people, my family, people in my close circle, that generally, for the most part, it's not their intention. If it's a hurtful thing, or feels harmful, or feels a certain way, I have to stop and breathe in and know the truth of them and of myself. And I mean, that sounds like a long process, but generally it happens in a breath, or two, to really just be able to center and to ground and refocus.
Well, yes, and I find that it's sometimes the biggest difficulty in the overwhelm thing is when I'm experiencing things that I'm having to work through, and then um, I feel any kind of criticism or whatever from you, then I am just totally, I don't have the capacity literally to deal with it in that moment, or I haven't figured out how to have the capacity yet.
Well,
So sometimes it just I can't.
yeah, I hear you. It's interesting that you say that, because I was thinking about like with kids, like with our teenager, that there's times when he says something, and I have to take a breath and realize and run it through the mill that it's not personal. He doesn't mean it. Yes, he's trying to hurt me in some way because he's hurt because he can't do something he wants, but it's not personal. It's not personal. It's just him reacting. And I was thinking, when you said that, especially when you say, when you give me a criticism, is that what you said?
I don't know, maybe. I mean,
I think you
it's
said
something
that.
that feels like one or is one. I don't know.
So something that feels like a criticism, and I get it. It's not the right time for you to hear it or whatever. But in my mind, if that was me, there would be there's a transaction that happens in my mind where I go, okay, it's not personal. I have to keep going to Miguel. A reason it's the four agreements that it's not personal. That if I'm telling you, yeah, you really need to tuck your shirt in. Well, I get it, and I'm just using you as the example because of what you said. I mean, I get where it could sound like a criticism, but at the end of the day, if you go, she's on my team, she wants me to look the best I can look. Other people are going to be looking, going, why didn't he take his shirt in? I mean, those kind of things. I don't know.
Well, I think the thing there is the piece that's different is where one is with the entirety of their life, the entirety of what's going on in their life. For me, when I've had to utilize those skills over and over again with all kinds of interactions, then I sometimes literally don't feel like I can do it again. And so should I? Yes. Do I eventually? Yes. But it's not going to happen in that moment, at least sometimes. Because what you're saying is absolutely right. But the question is, does the person who's in overwhelm have the capacity in the moment to do that? That's part of the overwhelm. And so probably the people who are in closest relationship with them are going to experience the most pushback, because that's the place where where one feels safe enough to push back that way and say, I can't do this, right? Even though ultimately we probably can, but in that moment, that's where it is.
So, okay, so in that moment, how do partners find a safe way to communicate and to move to the next place and to support the moment? Because I think I don't know, because something about the moment for me, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we're talking about in the moment, and in theory, a conversation with my partner should bring me back to baseline.
Well,
If anyone should be able to do it, it should be something that you say and that gives me, it's like having a safe word or something, like takes me back to a spot where I go, oh, everything's okay.
yes, but sometimes I think we all need to hear that somebody else is hearing us and seeing us and acknowledging that is maybe not an easy spot for you right now. How can I support you in this moment, or that kind of thing. And I think we both try to do that for each other, but and I think sometimes you do it. You don't wait for the how can I. You just go out and decide what you're going to do that's going to support me, and that's often perfect. But I think it has to do with feeling acknowledged and heard and not criticized for my inability to function in the best way in the moment. Somebody going, oh, I hear you. There's a lot of shit going on. How can I be there? What do you need? That make sense?
Yes.
It does? It's good.
It makes sense, but I mean, I think we've gone a little off topic in that, we're talking about when somebody's overwhelmed and how we come back, how we get back, how do we, communicate our feelings to each other without causing more overwhelm or more escalating, tension or conflict.
I think that's what I was saying. Sometimes, it goes back to the, I'm in 20%, can you pick up the 80?
Uh,
right now. So that's part of the thing sometimes is how can we show up? How can we show up for our spouse to support them through to the other side of overwhelm sometimes, or with that other person, uh, and and acknowledge that they may that they're working through something, and
yeah.
support them in that process rather than getting, like you said, taking it personally, deciding that, oh, now they don't care about me. They think I'm just evil, kind of a thing.
Well, I think you hit on something that I was thinking about when I was looking at the topic was the Brene Brown quote or philosophy on marriage, that marriage is not, everybody a 50-50 thing, that everybody brings 100% to the table, and some days I have 80 and some days I have 40 and all of that. And I think, but even that, even just if you're utilizing that, even just being able to say, hey, I got 40%, and letting the other person know where you are brings you to a baseline that then you can communicate from. Because, if you've got 20%, I'm probably not going to go into how you could have done it differently. If you got 60%, I may be able to say to you, well, how about if you do this? And you may go, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. But I think, so how does one get to that place where, where we can learn from our overwhelm, and it can teach us to, teach us better ways of communicating.
Well, I think you said something really interesting there, and that's about acknowledging where we are and saying, this is what's happening for me right now, and that's where I am. So I'm doing the best I can with this, but this is what's going on. And being able to, as another person in the relationship, hear that and go, okay, let me figure out how to be with that. And the danger there is that somebody might become dependent on just telling other people, oh, I'm doing the best I can right now. Can't do it. And pretty soon it's like, yeah, you're not really trying that hard because you're always asking me to pick up the slack. So there's that give and take there. Are we honestly doing the best we can, and are we honestly working towards moving ourselves out of that overwhelm? And that may require shifting other relationships that we're in. It may require shifting the one that we're in. It may require changing our work situation. It may require getting help that we didn't want to get. Bringing somebody on board to help us with the job, bringing somebody on board to help us with our mental stability, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think that, there's a role in each relationship. And again, even with your boss or your family, that, like, what part does personal responsibility play in it?
Right. Right.
And being able to really communicate, it's like fill in the blanks. When I get overwhelmed, I feel blank, or I do blank, or I shut off, or, whatever it is. And being able to be aware of those tendencies, so when it's safe or best or to communicate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I think right now what we're being asked in the world, and maybe always, but certainly feels a little more blaring to me, is to pay attention. And what are the lessons we can learn from this? What are the lessons that we learn from overwhelm?
Well, I think as a human, a tendency is to go, if this is overwhelming me, then it's something wrong outside of me, and I have to I have to change it. I have to push it away. I have to cut it off. I have to whatever. Instead of going, what is this overwhelm telling me about how I'm thinking about things, or how I'm willing to reach out for help, or how I might, you know, think about the fact that what are my choices in life, rather than going, well, this is my only choice, and so so this job is it. It's screwed. That kind of thing. Does that make sense? I mean, that's the part about the learning piece, that there's so many different ways that overwhelm can teach us about, you know, how we process things, how we let other people into the mix to support us, how uh, all those things. Sorry, I got caught up.
No, I think, yeah. And I think there's also, there's also a point in overwhelm for people that can be the point at which they need to seek help, from others, or from a group, or, from a coach or a practitioner or whatever, and and sit down and really figure out some things, like, okay, this isn't working. What do I need to do? What do I need to let go of? I could tell you, in my experience of overwhelm, which I am currently in, I'm pretty clear that I can't go see anyone because they're going to tell me what I already know, and that's going to piss me off. But that I need to let go of things, that I am doing too many things, and not enough of them are focused on my joy. They're focused on stuff for other people, which means for me that I'm always meeting somebody's deadline, or there's more than me involved for the, you know, for knowing it's complete, which puts a different layer of, responsibility or pressure kind of thing on me. So, I say that just to say, so when does someone, when do you seek a coach or a life coach or a practitioner?
And when do you say no?
What?
Yeah, exactly. When do we allow ourselves, to decide that if I'm going to be in service, I have to figure out where I'm to be and where I'm most effective, not just take on anything people suggest that they want me to do. Because I may be able to do a bunch of things, but is that really where I'm being of the most service? Or is that just making it easy for someone else in that particular situation?
Yeah, and I imagine as a minister, and as ministers out there listening, that that's actually kind of important for your church, is your centers, your boards, your all of those things, because every church I've been a part of, there's always it's always out of balance. It's always out of balance, and it's always that there's not enough volunteers, and then, practitioners step in, and then they're doing too much, and and so it grows and grows and grows and grows. And so how do you keep that? How do you create the space to be supportive and nurturing and okay if you can't, sign on the dotted line in blood and be there every week to do everything?
Yeah, and attempting to be everything to everyone, and attempting to do everything puts us in a position of potential overwhelm for ourselves. So, first off, and second off, in a position of, for those of us that struggle with inadequacy, feeling more inadequate, because it becomes very difficult to accomplish any of those things well, or on time, or whatever. Uh, so learning discernment, learning when to say, that's a great thing. It's not mine to do, but it's a great thing, or whatever, to to allow myself to input, the gifts that I have into the things where those gifts are really going to create something. And if I'm spending all my time barely getting other things done, then even those areas where I really shine, I'm not going to shine because I don't have the energy, the time, the whatever to do that.
All right.
So the overwhelm has to teach us how to take, in a certain way, to take control of our own mind.
So, as you may or may not know, both Gil and I are overwhelmed in our relationship, and so I would leave the show with this question today, and this question for you. What is one thing that you can, I guess, commit to or offer up? I don't want to say commit to, offer up into our relationship to reestablish the balance?
Into our relationship, particularly, or into the life so that I can do it better in our relationship? I'm just curious. But
I meant our relationship, but any answer is fine.
every answer is a good answer.
Yeah, every answer is a good answer.
Because what I was first thinking when you started to say that was what I would offer up is letting go of the idea that everything is our responsibility to fix, or one's personal responsibility to make right, make whole, make whatever. That a lot of things are not our responsibility to do. Our responsibility is to act in integrity with whatever our role is, but not to make somebody else feel or do or be anything. And that takes a lot of the stress off of the person who's making those choices, and which allows there to be a much less stress and overwhelm in their relationship, which would improve their relationship.
All righty then. I think what I would offer up is just committing really to taking that breath, to taking that moment, and to reacting from a place of, am I checking in with myself on, am I acting from love? And if I'm not, going to that place of acting from love.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's absolutely key.
Not snappiness, not overtiredness, all those things. So that is my suggestion to the world, to check in. Where are you coming from? Are you acting from love? And remember to breathe, people. The world needs breathers. Keep breathing and keep rocking the love. And if you want to know some more practices and things, join us tomorrow on Girls Behaving Metaphysically at 3 p.m. Mountain Time, where we will also be talking about balance and some different practices to get there. So it kind of flows together. So that's our story, everybody.
Thanks so much. Have a great day, a great week, and we will see you next time on Rockin the Love.
Breathe and rock the love. Bye, everybody.